And it's not too hard to keep that up as long as you can stay on your target, regaining your energy. And the higher your stacks are of Vengeance, the more effective that's going to be. So using that aura is really good to put out extra damage or to chase a target if you need to. Alright, so the next ability we have is Protect Allies. Now, Protect Allies looks like this. It also is an aura, and it drains your energy. What it does is it works off your Vengeance stacks as well. The more Vengeance stacks you have, the more effective this will be. It grants nearby allies increased protection from damage and increased health. This is probably the key aura of the Warden. It's what helps him get his protection stat really high and helps protect his team. If you can get really high Vengeance stacks and keep that aura up by having enough energy, you're really going to benefit your team because they're going to have increased health, they're going to take reduced damage, and that is probably the key component of the Warden, is keeping your auras up. Now, the last ability is called Stand Ground. Now, what this ability does is it puts you in this kind of dome-like structure, and you take very, very reduced damage. Like, I think the most damage I've ever taken was maybe 2. And most of the time you just take 0 damage. It makes you very sturdy. What it does is it roots the Warden in place, and it gives him determination and protection from damage. Any enemies that try and attack the Warden are locked out of their abilities if they hit into that dome structure. Why, if you can demonstrate? And you're locked out of your abilities for what, approximately 2-3 seconds?
Yep.
So this is a very strong ability. Now, it does determine you. So, one of the good things you'll see is, like, you can use this before you engage, so that way you can't get peeled off. You can see that I'm determined because of the white bar around my feet, and see how my player kind of gives off this golden reflection. That means I'm fully determined. That means I can't be CC'd, stunned, or anything. All those CCs would act as a slow towards me. So Stand Ground is a really good way to keep yourself from getting peeled off and allows you to stay in the fight. Or if you're taking a lot of damage, you can throw that out there so your healer can heal you up, or waiting on your other cooldown so you can charge back to your team or get out of the fight. So that's those are the basics abilities of the Warden, and now we can talk about a couple combos. There's not really too much. You're the tank. Your job is to keep your auras up, and while doing that, you want to kind of take as reduced damage as you can by blocking or stand grounding. But other than that, your basic job is to either put pressure on their healer by not allowing them to cast. You can do this by, why can you attempt to cast? I interrupted his cast there with charge. That's a really good way to pressure the healer, because by charging him you knock him back and that interrupts his cast. And there it is again. That's not going to allow him to regain any energy, so that way he'll eventually run out of mana as long as he doesn't get linked. As a Warden, one of your most susceptible things you are going to run into is when you stand ground next to a shaman, they are going to link you. And this is the worst thing. It's very important as a Warden to watch out for this link. It doesn't have the best graphical, you can't see it that well all the times, but you need to notice this because this is going to drain all your energy, and it's going to give it to the shaman so he can just infinitely heal. And even if you mouse one, you're just going to give him more and more energy. So what you need to do to break this is you need to quickly line of sight as such, or you can go ahead and just block it outright. See, I blocked it. Now that ability does have a 10-second cooldown, and so you can really put pressure on the shaman if you can get that ability off quickly or block it. So that's one thing to watch out for when you do stand ground, and that's going to happen to you as a lot as a Warden. So just be aware that you're linked and make sure you can line of sight it or you can block it. So other than that, your basic combo is your Shield Storm is going to be the most damage. And like I said, with Shield Storm, you can use all your other abilities during it. So what I like to do is, oh, we're going in the next round. So when this next map loads in, we'll be able to continue.
Looks like we do have another random in here, so we'll have to convey to him what we're doing, and it looks as if we're on the same map but different round.
I'm gonna drop underneath this time, Moy. I'm underneath the bridge.
Just 1 moment.
Alright, there you are. Okay, so basically, what you want to do is, your basic setup is stun as many people as you can, and then you want to mouse one and shield storm at the same time. And as you can see, I did a massive amount of damage.
It appears as if Mike does not read, so a little bit of a delay here.
I was able to get out a lot of damage on him though. That's your basic. That is going to be the most damage you can get out as a warden by just stunning into running up and shield storming. That is going to be the most, the biggest pressure you can put out. If you have high stacks of vengeance, that's going to do even more damage. And if you are running raise morale, so let's see if I can't. There's one stack. Kind of get my energy up a bit. Why? There's 2 stacks. I'm going to turn on raise morale. And as you can see, I got him down to 53%. Like, that is a ton of damage for the warden to put out. That is the best way to put pressure onto a target. So really getting in there and making sure you use your shield storm effectively is key. That pretty much sums up the warden, guys.
We have a question here. What is the charge cooldown again?
Okay, oh, that reminds me, I didn't really talk about the focus variants. Now, I'm running the focus variant for charge, so charging leap is only a 10-second cooldown. The non-focus one has a little bit higher of a cooldown, but you can charge from farther, and it is also a slow instead of a stun, so you can stay on the target. The focus for stand ground, I don't recommend using because it's not as good as the non-focus, in my opinion. The non-focus one silences them when they hit you, whereas the variant A of the stand ground, it only you can attack that as much as they want, and it's basically giving them free energy regen or any free spell they want. What it does is when you come out of the stand ground, you have increased movement speed, but it's not worth the trade-off in my mind because you have your charge, you have your stun, you have ways to get on them already. You don't really need that increased movement speed. And plus it doesn't silence them, so they just freely attack you, getting their energy higher or getting free links off without getting any repercussions from it. So I don't like to run that focus.
Yeah, why don't we do have a question here in the chat. Somebody's running. He asked, he said, you're talking about running things. Why don't you go ahead and real quick explain what variants are?
Oh, yeah. In the game, as you level up, right now the skill focuses are implemented, and it's only the A focuses are implemented. So as you level up, you unlock skill focuses, which change the, it changes the ability a bit. It doesn't drastically change it, but it adds just a new concept to it. So you can choose what your playstyle is by running the different focuses because they all do different things. Like I run the charge focus. What I give up is, the range. I can't charge from very far away, but I can charge more often. So I like to run that one because I don't really have a problem. Once I get on a target, I like to stay on it as much as I can. So basically, the skill focuses just kind of change what your abilities do, and you unlock all of them by, I think, at least level 24 is the highest one. That's for the skill focuses 4A. And the skill focus there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skill focuses for the Warden. The Shockwave one, what it does is when you Shockwave them, the stun doesn't last as long, but it slows them afterwards. So that can be, if you really like them to be slowed or slowing multiple people on the team, that can be a good one to run, and I think it's pretty good. I don't run it myself, but I still think it's good. Then the Charging Leap focus, we did talk about it quite a bit. There is the Shield Storm focus, which I am running currently. The focus for Shield, what it does is you can just stay on the target and you don't knock them around. Where the non-focus, if I was to Shield Storm him, he would go flying all around and it knocks them back. And that one's actually really good. Both of them are good. I like having a little bit more control over mine. But the non-variant focus, it interrupts spell casting. So if Y was to cast a spell and I Shield Stormed that, he would get knocked back and that would interrupt his cast. And every cast he tried to cast while I was Shield Storming on him would interrupt. So that's it's a very important spell.
Yeah, very powerful against casters like the Pyromancer and Shaman.
Yeah, then the other skill focus is for Raise Morale. What it does is it takes your Vengeance stacks and it kind of changes what Raise Morale does. It does increase movement speed still, but it has reflect damage. So if you have really high Vengeance stacks, you're going to deal, whenever enemies hit you or your team, it's going to reflect a portion of that damage back towards them. So that's going to be, really beneficial if you can achieve high Vengeance stacks. The second one is the Protect Allies focus. What it does is it reduces, it does a little bit less damage protection. So your enemies will take a little bit more, your allies will take a little bit more damage, but the trade-off is that they'll have a lot higher of a health pool. Now, I personally run this focus because getting more health is, it's pretty even which one you run. To me, having more health is fine, and I like having more health better, just because it gives your healers more to work with, and you can always block or position correctly so that you reduce the damage on your own instead of relying on a Warden to reduce the damage for you. So I personally like having the one that gives you more HP. And I touched bases on the Stand Ground one. I'll go over it again one more time. The non-focus variant, it will silence you if they hit you while in this. He casted late, but it would silence you. The Focus A variant is when you stand ground, when you come out of it, you will have increased movement speed. So if you're really slow or you feel like people just are outrunning you a lot, you can run that variant. I don't think it's stronger than the non-variant because they can just freely hit you without getting any repercussions. So they get free energy, they get free spells on you, and it's not beneficial in my mind. But it's always something, like if that fits your playstyle, you can always run that. And that pretty much sums up the Warden. Just remember, guys, you want to try and get your Vengeance stacks as high as you can, and you always want to be, it's really important as a Warden to keep some type of aura up. You either want to give your team more damage or protect your team and give them more health. So it's always good to try and keep a aura up. And your best combo to put out pressure is by stunning as many people as you can with your stun, and shield storming while mouse running. And as you can see there, I got him down to 46% that time. Oh, okay, we have a question in the chat. It's, what stats for the Warden do you recommend to be quite offensive? For the Warden, it's honestly, the joy about this game is it's really about your playstyle. Warden's base speed is really, really slow. So the first thing I did was up my speed, and I kind of went overboard with the guys. You don't have to do this, but I'll tell you what I did. I have 18%